Tom, brand new season and lots of great things going on around the sport of Rugby League, including this new initiative just launched today.
Yeah, so the Youth Endowment Fund is really great. It was launched by the Home Office roughly about 6 months ago, and ultimately it's to try and target children between 10 and 14 to try and work with them before they become problematic in regards to the youth offending. So we've been really lucky to the fact to get the amount of funding that we have. It's a 2-year project, and ultimately we can help to understand and do what we do best, which is engage our communities and help try and shape them and put them on a path. As you know, many of our Rugby League players come from these communities. They happen to go on to have successful careers and lives. We want to try and help embrace that and work with them and move them forward.
And this is in partnership with the club foundations who all do great work throughout the year.
Yeah, so we work with our Rugby League foundations. Firstly, are amazing across the board. They are the heartbeat of the community. If you ever see what they do everything in between. The 7 foundations we work with are already in this space working because they think it's right for the community. The money that the Youth Endowment Fund allows us is really allows us to expand it and really put some resource into it, so we feel we can make a real difference.
I guess a lot of people see the RFL Super League as the top level sport, but there's a lot of work goes on underneath that underpins what Rugby League is.
Yeah, firstly, you can't go without saying about our volunteer and community coaches across the board. Our community coaches, again, they are the hearts of our community. I've been involved all my life coaching community club as it is, and you can see what it means to those families and their communities, etc. But our foundations are the same. They do stuff from early intervention stuff with mums all the way up to dementia and cancer and everything in between. Not to mention, obviously, our SkyTry programme to try and get more people playing our sport. So it's not underestimated the amount of work that our foundations do, which helps reflecting obviously the top level sport at Super League when those players come through and the fans come through watching.
One of the big growth areas in Rugby League in recent years has been the women's game, the Women's Super League especially, increasing into 10 teams this year. What was the thought process behind that?
We had a plan in 2016 that we wanted to try and introduce the Women's Super League. Ultimately, it wasn't because we wanted a shiny competition. It's knew that we wanted to get more women's and girls playing. We knew there was a great opportunity coming over the door in 21, so we put a plan in place to try and get there. Ambition was a key part of that, so being able to walk out in a Leeds Rhinos top or a Keighley Cougars top or a Huddersfield top, that's really important. Being able to see themselves on our league or see people that like them on our league or BBC or Sky, that's really important. And ultimately we went to double the amount of women's and girls over the last 2 years. Warrington and Huddersfield both have been committed on that journey, and it's only right and proper that they get entered into the competition this year, not because what they can bring at Super League, but what they've got for the rest of the sport from women's anyway.
Is there concern perhaps that it might dilute the talent, but we did see a big gap between the top and bottom teams last season?
Yeah, and ultimately that the structures helped to try and fret that a little bit. We have grown it quite a way. I say we've doubled the amount of women's and girls over the last couple of years. But ultimately, it's a new competition. Although that we've been around in the women's space for quite a while, we've seen a significant amount of growth. We know there'll be some effects from that that'll come benefited in 22 and beyond. So that's why we tried to put a structure in place that allows teams like Warrington, which ultimately isn't just one team now. We worked with Warrington in 2018, ahead of 2018, the Challenge Cup. We knew they were going to launch a women's programme. That's when they announced it. Since that time, they've got a women's team that won the championship. They've got 3 or 4 girls teams underneath. There's no girls teams happening in Culture, which is in the area, and they've got a 19s and a college team. Previously, there was no girls activity in the area. So that growth is helping them get where they need to be. They might struggle a little bit this year. They might not. Who knows? But ultimately, we know that the competition is going to mature over time, and that's why we try to reflect the structure to allow that to happen.
A lot of people compare with the Australian competition where they've only got the 4 clubs, and I guess that's where the top 4 comes in at the end of the season. Those are going to be superbly intense games, as we saw in the semi-finals last year and the final. Yeah,
definitely. They have a slightly different structure where they play their community-based teams and then get kind of drafted into a top 4 teams. I believe they might be going to 6 teams soon. But yeah, ultimately it's to try and get the best teams playing against each other more often, because ultimately that provides great competition and great spectacle to watch, but ultimately allows those players to develop in a pressured environment, which is really important when it comes to England and obviously in the World Cup in 21.
Obviously the grand final last year on Sky, the Challenge Cup final on the BBC for the last couple of years. It's been a great growth of the sport. Where can the sport go from here? It's been a meteoric rise.
We've got a plan which kind of takes us up to 21. Hopefully this year we're bigger, better than ever. And then obviously 21 we've got the World Cup, which will be unprecedented. We know that on the back of major tournaments, good things can happen. Just look at the work that's gone on back of the women's football and the Euros and 77,000 at Wembley. So we know we've got to build up to that point to put our space in the best possible place to be able to kick on to the next level. We don't know what that is yet, but we know we've got to do our best job to put it in the best place. So come 21, we can sell our sport going forward, and who knows what might happen, but hopefully we will see the sport continue to be more and more, supported by you guys, and need more people turning up.
Well, there's a great support at the grand final last year at St Helens, and hopefully more of the same at Headingley this year and next year as well.
Yeah, like I say, ultimately we would plan to be at Headingley last year. Obviously the World Cup, which again another great addition for the women's, and obviously them getting paid, which is amazing. Hopefully on a Sunday afternoon, we feel we should be able to hopefully get a big crowd there. And as you've seen yesterday at the Rob Burrows thing, the Leeds people are rugby support, and I think we should get quite a bit of support there, which will be amazing to see. More than 2,000 people, 3,000 people there turn up to an event. I think it will be really special to help, especially kicking on to the World Cup, where they will host a number of women's games as well at Headingley.